have some ceremonial swearing-ins that we're going to do. So if I could ask Mayor-elect O'Neill, Councilor-elect Cunningham, and Councilor-elect Shevlin to come over here. Judge Winehouse will administer the oath of office.
Can you hear this?
Yes.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sean O'Neill, the undersigned,
I, Sean O'Neill, the undersigned,
having been elected to the office of Wilsonville Mayor,
having been elected to the office of Wilsonville Mayor,
on oath depose and say
on oath depose and say
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the laws of the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Oregon,
and the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Wilsonville Mayor,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of Wilsonville Mayor,
to which I've been elected.
to which I've been elected.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Ann? All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ann Shevlin, the undersigned,
I, Ann Shevlin, the undersigned,
having been elected to the office of Wilsonville City Councilor,
having been elected to the office of Wilsonville City Councilor,
on oath depose and say
on oath depose and say
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the state of Oregon,
and the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Wilsonville City Councilor,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Wilsonville City Councilor,
to which I've been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations. Yeah. There's one more. Thank you. All right, Adam. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Adam Cunningham, the undersigned,
I, Adam Cunningham, the undersigned,
having been elected to the office of Wilsonville City Councilor,
having been elected to the office of Wilsonville City Councilor,
on oath depose and say
on oath depose and say
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the state of Oregon,
and the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Wilsonville City Councilor,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Wilsonville City Councilor,
to which I've been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One more. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Let me know you're ready. Congratulations. Feels like last time. Yes. Oh, good. Okay. Thought the light had to go. Okay. I would like to call the meeting, the Wilsonville City Council for January 6, 2025 at 7:06 p.m. I would like to read the City Council mission statement. To protect and enhance Wilsonville's livability by providing quality service to ensure a safe, attractive, economically vital community while preserving our natural environment and heritage.
Move the microphone a little closer, please.
Sure. It is on. Okay, raise your hand again and I'll I'll speak, I'll make sure I move it if you can't hear me. All right. May I ask the city recorder for a roll call, please?
Councilor Shevlin.
Present.
Councilor Berry. Present. Councilor Cunningham.
Present.
Councilor Dunwell. Here. Mayor O'Neill.
Here. Okay, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now move to the mayor's business. To begin the mayor's business.
Mayor?
Yes, sorry.
Can we get an approval of the order of agenda first?
Oh, gee, I jumped. Sorry about that. Can I have a motion to approve the following order of agenda?
I move to approve the following order of the agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, the motion is approved. The following order of the agenda has been moved by Councilor Berry and seconded by Councilor Dunwell. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes 5-0. I will now move to mayor's business.
Brief remarks from the newly elected officials, next on the agenda.
We have an amended agenda.
Thank you.
I will now move to mayor's business. To begin the mayor's business, I would like to give each of the newly seated council members, including myself, an opportunity to speak. Afterward, we will take a break with a reception and treats, and then resume the council meeting to continue with the rest of the mayor's business. So I have a few words. Good evening. It is with great honor that I serve as the 10th mayor of Wilsonville. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who believed in our vision and supported our campaign. To my wife, Yumi, and my son, Tenzin, your love, sacrifice, and unwavering support has been and will always be my greatest strength. Thank you. Tonight, I reaffirm my commitment to leadership built on open communication, transparency, due process, and civility. Together, we will write the next chapter of Wilsonville's story, one rooted in collaboration, vision, and unwavering dedication to our shared future. At the heart of a thriving community is participation. Every voice matters. Decisions that shape our city must reflect the collective wisdom of our residents, businesses, and stakeholders. Your input will be our compass as we navigate the challenges ahead. Let's not shy away from some of the work that lies before us. Together, we must advocate for state and federal funding to replace the critical I-5 Boone Bridge, ensuring it meets the demands of today and tomorrow. We must fight against inequitable tolling that threatens to divide our city and burden our families. We must ensure the long-range town center plan meets current and future community needs, supports small businesses, enhances amenities, and manages growth with foresight and fiscal responsibility. We must create opportunities to put homeownership within reach of more residents. We must advocate for the operational safety of the Aurora Airport and Kinder Morgan Pipeline to protect our residents and quality of life. We must continue our commitment of ensuring that our first responders, including our law enforcement, have the resources they need to protect us effectively. Our work is rooted in the core values of inclusion, belonging, and respect. These principles will guide us as we ensure Wilsonville remains a welcoming, vibrant community for all. This will always be our North Star. Economic vitality is also key to our future. We must continue to foster successful small businesses and create good-paying jobs by attracting innovative industries and supporting the incredible potential of institutions like the Oregon Institute of Technology, Clackamas Community College. Together, we can strengthen the bridge between education, opportunity, and prosperity. As an attorney, negotiator, and community advocate, I have always strived to champion what is right, navigating difficult conversations, making thoughtful decisions, and fostering consensus or compromise when it serves the greater good. I am ready to bring those skills to the work ahead. Wilsonville is a city of visionaries. For decades, our leaders have made bold decisions to secure prosperity and enhance quality of life. Adaptation and planning have been our superpowers. Let us carry the legacy forward as we continue to imagine and build a future where generations of families will always want to call Wilsonville home. The unwavering dedication and tireless efforts of our city staff are the driving force behind our community. They consistently go above and beyond shaping our future in profound, positive ways. Many are experts in their fields, bringing invaluable knowledge and experience. Beyond their professional roles, they are our friends and neighbors, deeply committed to our community's well-being. Let's express our heartfelt gratitude for all they do. As we step into 2025, let's embrace the opportunities before us with passion and resolve. Let this be a year of prosperity, respect, and community, a year where we work hand in hand to secure the best for Wilsonville. Thank you, and let's get to work. I'd like to recognize Councilor Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. My fellow citizens, I'm honored by this opportunity to represent you as a city councilman. I'm grateful to have received your trust and understand the incredible responsibility you've bestowed upon me. I recognize that as one of the 5 members of this council, I have a duty to ensure that your voice and your will are represented. Today's oath of office was the 3rd oath I've taken in my life to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the laws of our land. The first oath I offered was as a 17-year-old kid looking to serve his country as a United States Marine. The second, a 28-year-old father and husband looking to serve his community as a police officer. And now as well as a somewhat older father and husband, once again being called to serve Wilsonville. Running for office and being elected was a unique experience. It was not something I'd ever planned to do, but I found myself called to. I'm not a politician, but at the end of the day, I recognize that the price of inaction is greater than the sum of peaceful apathy and blissful ignorance. The world does not improve through apathy, and apathy comes with consequences. So, here I am, willingly and humbly, offering my service to my community to make Wilsonville better and to preserve why we all chose to call this place home. Our town finds itself at a crossroads today. The decisions this council makes will have the potential to fundamentally and drastically change Wilsonville. We must ensure that our decisions are based on the actual will of our current citizens, those who entrusted us with a profound responsibility to be good stewards of their tax dollars, which, in effect, is a representation of their lives and their labor. We owe it to them. I want to be clear in what I just said. We owe it to our citizens to work for their interests, not Metro's wants, not Salem's supposed needs, not to enrich a developer or placate an outside lobbyist, because those groups do not have Wilsonville as a priority, but we always must. To steal a page from a well-respected former Wilsonville City Councilman, Scott Starr, with his permission, of course, I'll have 4 questions I'll ask myself when faced with any issue, and they will act as an objective compass to dispassionately help make decisions. The first, are current Wilsonville citizens, the primary benefactors of this decision? Second, are you spending your neighbors' tax dollars, their life and labor responsibly? Third, are you protecting the personal property rights of your neighbors? And finally, has the process leading to this decision been fair, open, and transparent? Of course, I won't always make everyone happy in every decision, even the people who actually like me. There are too many decisions across too many issues to make that a reality. However, I will have a foundation for decisions, and I will listen to any citizen who offers their input. This council has some tough decisions coming. I've looked ahead at the city budget. Our 5-year projection shows us with some budget shortfalls 4 out of the 5 next years. We have to find a way to balance that. We have 3 buildings not 2,000 feet from here that are boarded or fenced up. We'll have to find a community-driven solution to that problem. Recently, Wilsonville's been the leading news story for the wrong reasons and more often than any of us would like. Time will tell if that's a sign of things to come or if we can course correct. To answer these questions and move forward in the right direction, I have confidence in our dedicated city staff, whom I've had the opportunity to meet over these last few weeks. I've learned of their decades of combined knowledge and can sense a love of Wilsonville and the work that they do to serve our community. I believe they will have the answers we need should we ask the right questions with the right focus and a plan that represents our citizens' desires. I look forward to working with them for the betterment of our city. I'd like to congratulate Mayor O'Neill and Councilor Shevlin on your appointments as well. I'm sure you're just as pleased to be done with the election cycle and get to the actual work as much as I am. Council President Barry, or soon Councilor Dunwell, it's been great beginning to get to know each of you, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Finally, I'm grateful to so many who shared my convictions and believed in my message for a Wilsonville we will recognize and be proud to live in for generations. Your support and trust means so much to me. Although the list of people I'm thankful for is long, too long to list here, I have to specifically thank my wife for her steadfast support and for always having my back in every wild endeavor I come up with. This endeavor notwithstanding. Again, thank you all so much. And as the mayor said, let's get to work.
Councilor Shevlin.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank all of you for attending tonight and being a part of this special event. I am honored to be here and to have been elected as a council member for the city of Wilsonville. The 3 of us, us newly elected officials, have gone through an orientation over the last 3 to 4 weeks, meeting with all the different department directors and managers and learning all about their roles and responsibilities. And I must tell you that I am impressed by all of them. This city is in good hands, and as citizens, I know how much you appreciate that. Their commitment to their job, many of the people we met have 20 and 30-year time with the city, have worked in other municipalities, and sing the praises of the city of Wilsonville and how wonderful it is to work for the city. They love their city. What really stood out to me was the teamwork amongst all of them, and that doesn't happen without strong leadership. And the credit for that goes to the city manager and for setting the tone for teamwork and for everyone else on staff. Thank you, the staff, to each of you for the job you do and for taking the time to explain everything to us these last few weeks. I am humbled and honored to be just a small cog in the wheel and hope to make a contribution to this team, to our city, and to all of you. Thank you to everyone who helped me get here tonight. There are many of you here in the room, and I appreciate everything that you have done. But most importantly, my husband, Bill, my children, their spouses, and our grandchildren, who are all here tonight, and they always make every effort to make any effort worthwhile. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're going to call a 10-minute recess to enjoy refreshments in the back of the room. All right, we're resuming at 7:42 p.m. the City Council meeting for January 6, 2025, and we're still in mayor's business. I want to cover some things that I have done since I was informed that I was elected, and I thought it might be helpful for the community. I met with Lee Crosby, Executive Director of Wilsonville Community Sharing, and Lynn Welchel, of the Executive Director of Heart of the City. We were discussing their important work supporting community members in crisis and addressing homeless in Wilsonville, and how we can continue as a city, along with them, to work out solutions to help the people in our community of need. On November 21st, 2024, I began a series of meetings with local spiritual leaders. I started with lead pastor Mike Tatlock of Grace Chapel. We had an insightful conversation focused on inclusion, service, and helping our neighbors. This is the first of many that I plan with spiritual leaders from our faith institutions throughout the community. We all need to work together, especially when we're trying to address homeless and people in need in our community. I met with Kevin O'Malley, Executive Director of Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce. We discussed needs, and that was on December 6th. We discussed needs of local businesses and explored opportunities for continued collaboration between the city and the chamber to support the business community. On December 11th, I attended the Wilsonville Area Chamber of Commerce annual meeting and holiday celebration with Councilors Cunningham and Shevlin and Councilor Berry. This was even an event celebrating the successes of the chamber and its members and facilitated conversations with local business owners. That same evening, Councilor Cunningham and I joined a community discussion on housing cost burdens in Wilsonville. Two women shared heartfelt stories about their struggles to keep their families in the community while renting. It reminded me of my mother's determination to keep my brother and I in the same school district, going from one rental to the other, and the extreme expense that these two women are having in trying to support their family. It was very informative for me personally, and I'm hoping to draw further conversations from our community to discuss those issues. On the week of December 15th, I held extended meetings with Senator Aaron Woods and Representative Courtney Neuron to discuss Wilsonville's legislative priorities. Key topics including securing state and federal funding for replacing the Boones Bridge, discussions about the Kinder Morgan pipeline, and reiterating our opposition to tolling. On December 17th, I met with Dr. Nagi Nagathan, President of the Oregon Institute of Technology, and the school's leadership team. We had a 2-hour campus tour. I engaged with the department leaders and students to explore potential city partnerships with OIT on initiatives like a tech village. We also discussed challenges related to affordable housing and transportation for educators and students. That evening, I attended with Councilor Shevlin the Las Posadas celebration at the Wilsonville Community Center. This was organized by the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. It's a spiritual festival celebrated in Mexico and parts of the United States, recognizing the travel of Mary and Joseph trying to find a place to give birth to their child, Jesus. There was a lot of our community was in attendance. It's my understanding it was double the size this year than it was in years past. On December 30th, 2024, I joined Mayor Fitzgerald, City Council President Kristen Archifal, and Councilor Berry for the public lighting of the menorah at Marassi Plaza, presented by Habab of Lake Oswego. More than 100 attendees celebrated this joyous occasion, which included traditional desserts and music. This event marked Wilsonville's first public menorah lighting. It was made possible by a couple that live in Villebois. And it was very uplifting. It was wonderful, and I look forward to seeing that next year. Over the last over the last couple of months, I've met with many city departments to gain a deeper understanding, a refresher course, given my past work with them in the past. I also have met with both current and past members of City Council on what people might view as both sides of the political spectrum to get some guidance and understanding and thoughts. These meetings have been immensely helpful as I prepare to serve the city effectively, and I appreciate them. So, and there's some other things on this list. I'll give it to the city recorder, but I don't want to go through everything. With that, I would turn to our next item, vote for a council president. Consistent with Chapter 4, Section 18 of the City Charter, the City Council is required to elect a president of the council. In the mayor's absence from the council meeting, the president shall preside over the meeting. Further, whenever the council determines that the mayor is unable to perform the functions of the office, the president shall act as mayor. I will ask the city attorney to conduct the nomination process.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will elect the council president subject to the following rules. We will begin with a call for nominations for the position of council president. Any member of the council can nominate someone from the council for council president. You can also nominate yourself. Nominations do not have to be seconded. If you are nominated but do not want the position, simply state that you decline the nomination. When the nominations stop, Mayor O'Neill will call for any more nominations. When no further nominations are forthcoming, Mayor O'Neill will declare the nominations closed. Mayor O'Neill may ask if anyone wishes to provide comments regarding the nominees. Once the nominations are closed, I will read the names of the nominees, and then I will ask the city recorder to conduct a roll call vote. Please state the name of the person you wish to vote for. Mayor O'Neill will announce the outcome of the vote. If no one person receives a majority of the vote, we will redo the vote until one person receives a majority of the vote. No nominee may be dropped from consideration unless the person voluntarily withdraws from consideration. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mayor O'Neill to hear for nominations.
Council, do we have any nominations for city council president?
Yes, I'd like to make a nomination. I nominate Councilor Berry for council president.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Dunwell. Council Dunwell has nominated Councilor Berry. Is there any other nominations? Do I have a motion to close the nominations?
I would like to comment. Is that after you close?
If you don't need a motion to close the nomination, so you can just declare them closed if there's no
They're
further.
closed.
And yes, now you can ask if there's any comments on the nominees.
Are there any comments to nominations?
Yes, I would really like to speak to you all about the tradition that we have in Wilsonville to elect a council president that is tenured, can serve the city well, and is well prepared to take the role of the mayor if the mayor is unavailable, which is always a consideration. Can step in at ribbon cuttings, can also set some of the agenda items along with the mayor. The qualifications of Councilor Berry to be able to perform in this role are exemplary. She has been outstanding in working with the League of Oregon Cities, with the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee, and also within other roles that she's held as city councilor. And as the other tenured city councilor, I am pleased to be able to make this recommendation and put her into nomination.
Thank you, Councilor Dunwell. Are there any other comments? Okay. Are you accepting the nomination?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that nomination. I'd be pleased to step into that role. I have experience running meetings. I've served as the library board chair for several terms, and I've also served as the Library Foundation President. I really enjoy being on the City Council and attending our meetings and going out to our public community events and meeting with other agencies and whatnot. I'd be pleased to step in and help you anytime you need help.
Thank you.
So with that, we can, I can ask the city recorder to perform a roll call vote. So the one nominee is Councilor Berry. So if you so choose to vote for Councilor Berry, just say Councilor Berry when called.
Councilor Shevlin,
Councilor Berry.
Councilor Berry,
Councilor Berry.
Councilor Cunningham,
Councilor Berry.
Councilor Dunwell,
Councilor Berry.
Mayor O'Neill,
Councilor Berry. Okay. Congratulations. Council President Berry, would you like to say a few words, or you?
No, I just did.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll
do
just-
my best to, serve the council in any way that I'm asked to, and I'm pleased to have the support. Thank you so much.
And I'll just note for the record, the vote was 5-0 for Councilor Berry.
Oh, thank you. All right, upcoming meetings. The next city council meeting is Monday, January 23rd. And before I go into some other important events, I want to recognize some people in the room. I should have done this earlier, I apologize. I see former mayor and Clackamas County Chair Charlotte Lehan, who's made an appearance here. I appreciate that. Former Mayor Julie Fitzgerald. The seat is still warm, Mayor Fitzgerald. You can have it back anytime. No. Former City Councilor Joanne Linville. Former Mayor and Clackamas County Chair John Ludlow. Metro Councilor Garrett Rosenthal. Representative Courtney Neuron. And former Councilor President Kristen Archibald. Oh, excuse me, and former Mayor Tim Knapp. There's some important events that I'd like to bring to people's attention. On January 11th, this Saturday, between 3 and 5, is the Lunar New Year celebration at the Wilsonville Library. There will be, the holiday is celebrated not only in China, but many other parts of Asia and the world, including South Korea, Vietnam, Japan, and other parts of Southeast Asia. The year is the year of the snake. And I know that sounds kind of scary. My wife, Yumi, broke to my mother that she was actually born the year of the snake, when my mom always thought she was born the year of the dragon. My mom doesn't like snakes. But snakes, believe it or not, represent wisdom, knowledge, intelligence, intuition, and creativity. It's also associated with good luck and prosperity. On January 17th, in celebration of the Martin Luther King birthday, the Wilsonville Library will be showing the movie Selma. It is an historical drama of the 1965 Selma to Montgomery voting rights marches, which were critical in the civil rights movement, and the right of all Americans, no matter of their color, to have the right to vote. On Monday, January, I think it's 22nd is the holiday? The City Hall will be closed on Martin Luther King's birthday. Oh, excuse me, 20th. And then on February 1st, 2025, the Vietnamese community of Oregon has invited me to attend their Vietnamese Lunar New Year celebration. And that is at 10:30 a.m. on February 1st. And that event is going to be at the Leotis McDaniel High School in Portland. This is a significant holiday for the Vietnamese community, and we have a pretty significant percentage of Vietnamese that are residents in our community. On Friday, February 21st, between 7 and 9 p.m. at the Wilsonville Community Center is the Family Formal. This year's theme is Once Upon a Time, and everybody's encouraged to dress in your most magical fairy tale attire. Guests who bring a donation for Oregon Dog, guests are encouraged to bring donations for the Oregon Dog Rescue and receive extra entries in a prize drawing. There's a DJ, photo booth, snacks, and prize giveaways. And this is put on by our Parks and Recreation crew. Let's see, and that pretty much covers future events for a few. Is there any communications? We have nothing on the agenda. Okay. All right, next, turning to citizen input and community announcements. This is an opportunity for visitors to address the City Council on any matter concerning city business or any matter over which the council has control. It is also the time to address items not on the agenda. It is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but not scheduled for public hearing. Staff and the City Council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizen input before tonight's meeting ends, or as quickly as possible thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please note that this is not the only way to communicate with council or me. You're welcome to submit information in writing or via email. Additionally, I encourage you to schedule a meeting with me to discuss your concerns further, whether over coffee or during a walk, or you can also reach out to any of our individual councilors directly. In accordance with Chapter 3, Section 8, page 10 of the City Council Protocol Manual, I will recognize any councilors who wish to respond to matters raised during citizens' input after all citizen input has concluded. Oh, thank you. We have a lot of cards. The first speaker is Odessa Archibald.
Hello, my name is Odessa Ackerval, and my address is on my speaker card. Thank you, Your Honor, Council, City staff, for this opportunity to speak tonight. I really appreciate it. This week, I submitted an application to Wilsonville staff asking that a very special tree that I'm sure you are familiar with be designated as a heritage tree. This tree is at the corner of Wilsonville Road and Boone's Ferry Road. I don't know how to describe this tree, but you might know it as the ice cream cone tree, the Christmas tree, the bush tree, the perfectly symmetrical tree, and many other nicknames. I'm submitting a picture in my application of me and the tree so that you know which one I'm referring to. And this tree is special to the community for many reasons, but most notably because of the holiday decorations that Wilsonville staff sets up each year. Heritage trees are often the oldest or the largest trees, but as a 13-year-old, I can tell you the age isn't everything. This tree is estimated to be around 40 years old and might not be the oldest tree in Wilsonville. However, heritage trees are also culturally significant trees in our community, and this tree is certainly well known and holds a special place in our hearts. It is also one of the few known, if not the only example, of the Leyland cypress tree in Wilsonville. Making this tree a heritage tree will ensure its continuation in our community as a special tree that brightens our spirits each winter and serves as a landmark for many in Wilsonville. I ask that you support my application for this tree to be designated as a heritage tree. Several community members would appreciate this action, kids included. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Christy Corno.
Good evening. Congratulations to the two new councilors and to Mayor O'Neill. I don't really have a statement, I have more of a question, and I was just wondering if the three new members could share your top priorities for specifically 2025.
Well, thank you for that, but we're going to reserve that till later. Rick Wallace.
Hello, my name is Rick Wallace. My address is on the speaker card. I just want to say thank you to our hardworking city staff and city council. Thanks to you, Wilsonville is a great place to live, go to school, work, shop, and own a business. We've got exceptional parks, playgrounds, public transit, and bike lanes. I'd say we've got a lot to be grateful for as Wilsonville residents. To the new councilors and mayor, I hope you can keep Wilsonville on the right path, and I hope you can make strides on some of our current challenges like high housing costs and a lacking town center. I'd also like to share that my partner and I went to Newport, Oregon Pride this last September, and it was a fantastic way to engage the community and local businesses. I'd love to see more LGBT events in Wilsonville like this. Newport Pride was a multi-day event with a pub night sponsored by a local bar, a parade, a bazaar full of local queer artists and supportive charitable organizations, drag bingo, and drag brunch. If Newport can do it, then so can we. And I was told today that there are already plans to do Pride events in June, but it's not too late to throw in a drag brunch or something. Thank you.
Eric Winters.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Eric Winters. I've been a resident of Wilsonville for 19 years. My address is on file with the city. I came here to talk about the town center plan. Urban renewal projects have a special history in Wilsonville. They allow the city council to borrow great sums of money for public projects. And this involves new public debts that are repaid over decades. Over the last 20 years, the city has borrowed more money for urban renewal projects per resident than any city in Oregon. As a result, we've grown fast, much faster than our neighbors, maybe too fast. It depends on who you ask. But at least Wilsonville has always ensured public support for these projects. They've done it by putting before the voters for an up or down decision. 8 months ago, voters rejected the financing plan for Town Center. The measure was framed as an advisory vote, and this allowed the city to use a ballot title that was, frankly, slanted to achieve a positive result. It was exempt from the challenges that would normally be available for ballot titles under our state standards for fairness laws. The ballot title did not disclose the amount of potential debt, much less the number of new housing units that would be needed to underwrite that debt. Following the election, the city was forced to admit that the Town Center project would have permitted over 4,000 new housing units in the center of town. Had that information been disclosed to voters last May, the Town Center plan would have undoubtedly failed by an enormous margin. During the campaign, candidate O'Neill, you pledged to unite us with community engagement around a Town Center plan, with work accomplished by a long-term task force. I applaud this approach, but it will require an earnest attempt to keep the public's trust. Pledging to put the final plan up for a vote is the first step in preserving that trust. Wilsonville's had 20 mayoral elections in 58 years. I looked it up. This was the first one where the winner did not get a majority of the votes. This council does not have a mandate to dodge a public vote on Town Center. It's something that the public expects. I would hope that you would pledge to offer Wilsonville voters a fair election this time. This would help heal the divide in the city. The task force that you pick should reflect the diversity of citizen viewpoints, not just be stacked with people who supported the last failed plan. Please pledge to provide voters with a fair ballot title And finally, please identify the possible housing density changes in the town center so that voters can weigh this before the election with traffic in mind. The next town center plan may not resemble what any of us currently envision, but an open process with a fairly framed question will help our community move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Knapp.
Good evening. Excuse me. Tim Knapp, Wilsonville resident, something like 38 years, and my address is on the record. Congratulations, Mayor and Council. Now you undertake to guide Wilsonville toward a future as yet unseen, yet hoped and planned for by people young and old, by businesses who have and will continue to invest in our city. I hope you will come to know city staff as I have. I've watched staff from many cities in numerous different venues where we interact. Wilsonville staff is premier, right at the top, the most capable I've seen amongst the cities that we work with. Your city staff is your team now. The people who must carry out the priorities, the direction, and the values that council collectively sets. Council and staff must develop mutual trust to be effective. Please know your city staff is council's most significant resource to work with. It is important the council is tuned into the past and the present as well as the future in Wilsonville. That it understand the importance of our neighborhoods and business centers, not to make them all the same, but to understand why each is special, maybe unique, in providing a place for certain people and certain businesses where they can fit in, thrive, and where they want to be. We cannot try to, quote, stop growth and still remain a vibrant, strong community. We should not want to stop, just to stay there in the now or to return to the past. Planning carefully, clearly, and consistently with our prior commitments, our place in the natural world, our historic context, and our collective values is the opportunity we must not miss. People come to Wilsonville because they find a town, a neighborhood, a community where they find attractive, a place where a place that honors and preserves connection to the natural world, maybe a job opportunity they hope will better their lives, maybe a community committed to helping each person, family, business find a place where they fit and are appreciated. Businesses come to Wilsonville because they find a good location, a place for their business to invest, a growth opportunity, a good transportation system. They know that future surrounding investments will be joining them in maintaining those same high standards as the community grows. They value being part of a stable, strong community that values the contributions of both their citizens and their businesses. Lastly, I want to remind Council that you do not represent only the loudest, most strident people who come before you. Indeed, you will find that some critics are not even Wilsonville citizens. You will represent citizens of all ages, persuasions, and backgrounds. You will represent Wilsonville people that you never see and never hear from. You will represent, as Wilsonville slowly grows and matures, people who have not yet arrived here. Indeed, some of who are not yet born. So thank you for the work you undertake, for your concern and your commitment. Though not always easy, this council will find its way to understanding, connection, and often compromise. You will find it engaging and challenging, frustrating and satisfying. I applaud you all.
Elizabeth Peters.
Congratulations, Councilors Cunningham and Shevlin and Mayor O'Neill. That was a hard-fought win, and there's no doubt you will offer the city your very best, and I know you're going to do a great job. Since the election, each of you has expressed your desire for me to stay involved in city business. Thank you. here I am. A key message in 2024 has been the need for community engagement in shaping the future of our city, especially the contentious town center plan that failed to obtain voter support. All the new councilors expressed this message during the campaign, and I agree. I think we all see a need for a better community engagement in the future of town center. So what does that look like for this council? How will you involve the citizens of Wilsonville? Will you give adequate time and energy to frequent town halls, open to public comment and live streamed? Will you have broad representation of voices and opinions on the vision, not just those who agree with you? In public communications, will you express both positive and negative potential results of future actions? And if an urban renewal plan is proposed, will you bring it to the electorate as you have in the past for a vote with clarity around cost and density impacts? If we're going to unite as a city, I believe this is the level of engagement that we need. I hope you will commit to doing all of these things to represent all of Wilsonville moving forward. Thank you.
Dwight Sims.
Good evening. First of all, Happy New Year and congratulations to the new Councilor Adam and Ann and the new Mayor, Sean O'Neill. My name is Dwight Sims. My address is listed on the speaker card. My wife and I have lived in the Wilsonville area for almost 10 years now and are deeply interested in the issue of transportation. I look at this issue from a slightly different perspective, one of community and relationships. Whether we like it or not, the ability to connect with our friends, our family members, and the places we love to visit depends critically on how easy it is just to travel. As we all learned during the recent pandemic period, Zoom and FaceTime are no substitute for being with the ones you love. America is a large country, and Oregon is a large state, nearly 300 miles north to south and almost 400 miles east to west. It's about 98,000 square miles. Just for example, my wife and I have close family members who live in parts of Portland, West Salem, and Gresham, and even other states like Washington, Idaho, and even Florida. To visit them without automotive transportation is simply not practical. Mass transit really doesn't go there from Wilsonville in any efficient way. Not to mention that the cultural diversity of our great country is made possible only by that same ease of travel, including, of course, air and sea transportation. This has been a huge factor in my own family. My sister, for example, drove cross-country from Oregon to Virginia to attend college and married a fellow student there who happens to be Japanese American, his mother having immigrated from Japan after World War II. My brother married a young lady of Lebanese descent from Montreal, Canada, and my own wife is a first-generation immigrant from Ukraine. None of us would have even met, think about it, our spouses without this ability to travel efficiently across long distances. Consider also the historical, critical role that travel has played in our state. 220 years ago, the Lewis and Clark expedition took 17 months to travel 3,700 miles from Missouri to the Oregon Territory, averaging less than 8 miles a day. Beginning about 30 years later, 500,000 American pioneers came by wagon to the British-controlled Oregon Territory. Today, with modern roads, a motor vehicle can travel from Independence, Missouri, to Oregon City in 27 hours, not 17 months. That sure beats walking in wagons. Mayor O'Neill has correctly pointed out the critical need to build a new earthquake-resistant Boone Bridge with more lanes to ease congestion. But at the same time, my question is, can we really replace automobiles with mass transit, bicycles, or walking? We need our vehicles. Thanks for listening.
John Ludlow.
Thank you. For the record, my name is John Ludlow. The city has everything on me. Yeah, I want to congratulate those who got elected. You know, it is a thankless job. And people talk about the meetings you go to, and those are important, and they're lengthy at times. But the part where you really spend a lot of time is reading. Lots of it. Online, paper, a lot of reading. I'm going to go over a little history. Since I've been here 50 years, I don't curse the person that created Urban Renewal, but I'm not very happy with him. And so I looked in the mirror and realized it was me. I created that. Now, the reason we did that was because Daydream Ranch down there didn't have any way to get out without crossing dangerous Wilsonville Road, right about where the Jiffy Lube is at. We thought $6 to $8 million would do it, and eventually it did, of course. However, they didn't stop there. As an example, when urban renewal is passed, everything's amended later on, and that means they amend how much money they're going to spend, too. Don't think for a minute that what you voted on will stay that way. Amended plans generate more money, and that's what the city has done. If you say that, and this has been 34 years that we have been voting on urban renewal, and I read where some elected officials in the area just couldn't believe we actually vote on this stuff. Oh, we've been doing it for 34 years. You'd think they'd pay attention before now. We do vote on that, and then, except for the one time, Google this, solar power in Wilsonville. And what you'll see is several members of this audience said, we don't need the public to vote on this. This is too important. And they bypassed the public, necessitating a friend of mine, Vince Alexander, to gain the signatures necessary, just put it on the ballot. Then they skedaddled to Portland, bragging that Portland was going to give them more money. Look them up. They went broke. Even though this city promised them millions and millions of dollars, thank God we blew them out and threw them out. But the point of the matter is you, this council, again, like several people in this audience, voted against the public participating in the creation of urban renewal district. Don't let that happen again. So, you know, it's interesting to note in the mayor's message before he was mayor in August, thank you for that. There's some interesting assertions here, and I hope that you get it right when it comes to density and traffic. Nobody mentions traffic. Look at it now. And like was testified by Eric Winters, you know, multiply 4,000 people or 4,000 units. Now, there isn't any single, well, there might be a few single occupied vehicles or residences, but mostly there are two people. Now, we know we only have one lane in towns that are looping east and west. Visualize 8,000 more people. Oh, they might go in 4,000 cars, but that's not likely. And you will see how town center is planned to be currently. It has to go to the vote of the people because it's their money, folks. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Rick Peters.
Good evening and welcome to the new councilors and mayor. My name's Rick Peters. My address is on the speaker card. And to follow up with what's been talked about already, there has been a lot of talk lately about the urban renewal money and the use of it. I'm new at this. I have had different careers. None of it involved urban renewal per se. However, the more I dig into it, the less I like it. The state of California, these are all just statements that exist. The state of California banned cities from using urban renewal agencies in 2011. The same year, Clackamas County voters passed protections requiring a public vote on the use of urban renewal funds. And this last May, right here in Wilsonville, we voted down a proposal to use urban renewal for town center. I was a registered investment advisor for 18 years, and frankly, I'm questioning whether urban renewal is an appropriate vehicle for funding any project here in Wilsonville. It's debt imposed on people who live here, homeowners and renters. Urban renewal debts must be repaid from property taxes of future development ventures, whether they're successful or not. Siphoning funds from schools and emergency services along the way. I'm concerned. Thank you.
Owen Bridge.
Good evening. My name is Owen Bridge, and I too was born the year of the snake. And I agree with you. I'm not a fan of them at all, actually. My address is on my card that I gave you. Congratulations to our new mayor, Mr. O'Neill, as well as our new council members, Ms. Shevlin and Mr. Cunningham. I wish you the best in your elected terms, and I look forward to your service to our city. I felt that this inaugural council meeting for our 3 newest members would be a useful opportunity to express and apparently beat a dead horse on what I have observed to be a citywide consensus on the desires for our town center plan, namely reevaluation on it. Many Wilsonville citizens, not only among our small business owners in the town center, but all throughout our city, are rightly concerned with the large volume of high-density residential planning that was permitted in the town center plan turned down by voters. Why is that? Well, the most obvious reason seems to be because what will logically cascade downstream from that vision will not only be exacerbated traffic gridlock, which is a major issue for our city currently, but a sad erosion of our culture of commerce and community gathering. Many currently, including myself, avoid the town center for significant portions of the day due to these traffic issues that we experience. And any investment in the town center should make it more welcoming for travel and should not permit thousands of new apartments to be squeezed into the most trafficked heart of our city. While reasonable debates and discussions can take place as to what exactly the town center plan should look like, the overwhelming desire among our people seems to be this, that there must be a higher business to housing ratio in the heart of our city. One that inspires vibrant gatherings for commerce, entertainment, indoor and outdoor public dining, etc. You get the idea. One of the reasons for this is because Wilsonville has borne the brunt of urban growth far beyond our neighbors per capita, and we desperately need to reevaluate how we're thinking about this plan and who we want to be. We should, put the drink down for a minute. And what do we have to lose by re-engaging the public, as so many as you guys have already said? So having said this, I was very pleased to hear the consensus among even our 3 new members during the candidate forums that the town center plan needs to be re-engaged with public input. This is exactly the energy that we need moving into 2025, and I'm, frankly, quite excited by that. It would be far more regrettable to proceed full steam ahead when there's obvious and blatant consternation about the current plan as it stands right now. And if not, I'm afraid that the next urban renewal financing plan will just fail to obtain the voter support yet again. So once again, I appreciate all of you and welcome aboard to our new members, and many well wishes to you in your terms, and of course to this amazing city of Wilsonville. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have one more person on remote. Mr. Lee Barkman.
Hi.
Go
Can you
ahead,
see
Mr.
me?
Barkman.
Okay. My name's Lee Barkman. I'm a Wilsonville resident. I live in Canyon Creek Meadows. My address is on file. Happy New Year. Congratulations to the mayor and newly elected council members. Sorry I could not attend, but I'm in transit at the moment. I urge the council to move forward quickly and create an urban renewal district for the city center without delay. Get it out of the way. It is clearly what the voters wanted. As former Mayor Knapp pointed out in his brief history of urban renewal in Wilsonville in his December meeting, every time a new district has been created, property values around it skyrocket. This benefits everybody, particularly those of us who own homes. Once the district is created, then we can have a discussion of how we want urban renewal to proceed. We can talk about our visions about what the city can be. We can have a civil yet vigorous debate about what kind of town we want. But the election results clearly stated that we want to move forward with this plan. There was an ill-advised advisory election in the spring with very low turnout. And the result was practically a tie, but the result was narrowly against the urban renewal district. It was hardly definitive. The recent city election sent a definitive message to the new council. On one hand, about 1/3 of the voters clearly had some problems with redeveloping the city center. Some of the opposition was a result of vague communication on the part of proponents of the plan. I think this miscommunication was in part because there was a mismatch in expectations. Opponents said they wanted facts. How many people would end up living there? Where would they park? How tall would the buildings be? Proponents, however, were still focused on the infrastructure and the general outlines of the plan without developing a clear vision, or at least explaining a clear vision of what it would be. Numbers were demanded, numbers that on further inspection demanded revisions, but we were talking past each other. The recent general election was definitive. Mayor O'Neill received thousands of more votes than his primary opponent, who received about the same number as were against urban renewal in the spring. It's about 3,000 people out of the number of people that voted. The issues were clearly discussed and the people spoke. The council has a mandate. Please don't lose it by delaying. Move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on Zoom? Okay, that concludes citizens' input. I just want to make a couple of statements about that I heard. Something about council's, each of us, our top priorities. I want to reserve it to the end. We have a retreat and we set goals. So we haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. So we all get together, we come together, make a decision of our priorities, and we as a council move forward on those priorities. So I just want to wait to the end to get all the questions. Another thing, and I can't speak for the other members of council, the issue about mandates, what the vote was all about, one way or another, depending on what side of the aisle, or if you're in the middle or the side, to me, the only mandate was that the people, one, have an obligation to try to lead and do the best they can for all of you. And we may make decisions that don't make some of you happy. We might make decisions to make you happy, but we're trying to do the best we can. So I'm not personally, it's kind of like a jury trial. Trial lawyers, clients always ask trial lawyers, are we going to win? And I'm going to say, well, I have no idea what a jury is going to do of 12 that's picked the morning of. We just don't know. I will tell you that everybody here, no matter what their viewpoint that was elected to council, cares about our community, is going to try the best they can to make the right decision. So that's the only mandate that I think we have. That's my personal view. With that, is there any other council that wants to make a comment at all about community input? Okay. Go ahead.
I just would like to say how much I appreciate that everybody here is taking their time to come to our meeting tonight. It's obvious that everybody here cares a lot and deeply about Wilsonville, and the testimonies were very well thought out and presented, and I appreciate that. I like hearing people's viewpoints, and so thank you for taking your time. There were so many different topics that we heard about tonight, and so thank you so much.
Any others?
I'll comment. Obviously, the town center is a hot button issue. 3 minutes, as I know quite well, goes along very quickly. It's very hard to communicate thoroughly in that 3 minutes. As I said in my inaugural remarks, I'm open to sit down and talk with someone, any member of our community who has a different viewpoint maybe than I have campaigned on about town center, and I'm open to having my mind changed with solid facts and good conversation. So I have an open door, and I'm happy to sit down and talk with anyone. So feel free.
Thank you, Councilor Cunningham. The next up on the agenda is Councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements, starting with City Council President, Councilor Berry.
I'll keep it pretty brief. I just wanted to say that recently I had a chance to go over to Marassi Park, and there's the new musical chimes. I don't know if anybody's had a chance. It was paid for by a grant that the city received. It's right across from the library, the road that goes into the library, that if you step just east, you can see 3 different sets of chimes. They're really fun to try. I recommend it for everybody. The other thing that I'd like to talk about tonight is that we talk about communications a lot. And I'd like to point out that the city manager presents the monthly reports, and they're available online. Each department highlights what their team has been working on for the month. And so one of the things that caught my eye was the finance report. And they were highlighting what the municipal court does. And since we had our judge tonight swearing in our new councilors and mayor, I thought it would be nice that people might learn a little bit more about what the municipal court here in Wilsonville does. So we have 1 municipal judge, we have a pro-term judge, and 2 municipal court clerks. And they work on processing traffic violations, parking violations, and some other city code violations. They meet here on the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday of each month, so hopefully none of you will be attending, but you're always welcome. In this monthly report for November, they were highlighting how many violations were processed. And so the number was 2,162. And if you break it down, there was the violations for speeding limits, speeding tickets, 323 were issued. People using their mobile phone while driving, there were 235 violations. And one thing that kind of touches my heart, because I always worry about this, people driving without insurance. There were 199 violations here in Wilsonville. So be careful about that. There were other violations, including the expired tickets or no registration on their cars. And then we had 154 violations on the sign code. So if you want to learn more about it, go to the website and check out all the different departments' monthly reports. I find them very helpful. It's nice to know that we do have a really good city that is working hard, and our staff is really, really good under our city manager. Thank you. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Council President Berry. Councilor Cunningham, do you have any comments? Oh, the order I have here is Councilor Cunningham. I'm sorry. Councilor Dunwell, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be able to continue to serve the citizens of the city of Wilsonville. And I have spent the last month or so really contemplating the role of a counselor and what the future looks like with new counselors in place and a new individual who's serving as mayor. I believe that I'm in a good position to be able to continue to serve the city. I am going to be listening to all of you. I do not work for a mayor. I do not work for a counselor. I work for all of you, and I will continue to do that. What's exciting about this council is that each of us has one vote. And whether you're council president, whether you're the mayor, or whether you're a newly elected counselor, all of us have the same weight and the same value. And the importance of that is to serve all of you and all of your voices. And I continue to reiterate to myself every time I walk into this chamber that that is my role. So I hear all of you. I would hope that you all continue to find a way for all of us to work together as a city. I saw some divisiveness during the election, and I believe that with the outcome that we have, we are positioning ourselves as a city to be able to work together at a level we have not in quite some time. That being said, it is not through the lack of performance of the prior council. I think that we did a phenomenal job. But what we did here is through the election that there are a lot of different perspectives. What we vote on, where we go as a council may be different than some of you would like, and it may also be in support of some surprises. But I will continue to serve each and every one of you, and I'm very excited to do that. So thank you all for letting me continue to serve. I'm excited to spend the rest of my tenure serving the citizens.
Thank you, Councilor Dunwell, and I apologize. They put these in alphabetical order. That's why I went to Mr. Cunningham. Councilor Cunningham, do you have anything to say? Well, my list I got was...
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think the list will change because we didn't have a council president. So the next meeting it will be all in order. So the mistake was mine. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of stole my thunder a little bit earlier when you mentioned all the things that we attended together, but that's totally fine. Yeah, there was it was nice to be able to come to the meeting here in the council chambers about rent burden. I think we need to make sure that we're hearing more of that and making sure that our resources here in town are ready to help those folks should they run into trouble, that we can help them get through. It's good to hear their stories. Unfortunately, there's only a couple of people who came and spoke about their experiences. And I'd personally like to hear more and see if there's solutions we can come up with that work. To answer your question earlier, Christy, you asked the question. I think hopefully during my inaugural remarks, it came through some of my priorities, but one of the major things and one of the major things that we're hearing tonight is engagement with our citizens. I think if we make that honest, earnest effort, not saying that it hasn't been done in the past, but I think that things are different than they were for a lot of those times that we got input. I'd like to see an open town hall. I'd like to see people being able to speak and given the opportunity to weigh in a forum that's a little bit more personal, a little less of online surveys, putting dots next to things. And I know it's tough. We're gonna hear a lot of different input. Where I live, there's a green space behind my house, and they were talking about all kinds of options of stuff that we could do with it. And it's under power lines, and there was ideas about swimming pools, and they wanted to put a dog park behind my house. Not a big fan of that. So, we're all gonna have different opinions on it. Probably my next biggest thing, and the thing that we need to be looking at very closely in these coming months, is making sure that we're being fiscally responsible. And when I talk about our taxpayer money, when I was sitting down to think about the role of a counselor and taxpayer money, it's true that, you know, your taxpayer money, that's your labor, that's your life, that's the time that you spent away from your family, your home, doing the things that you want to do, your personal endeavors, so that you could go to work and earn money, and then you give some of it to us, and we have to be responsible stewards of that. And being a responsible steward of that is one of my highest priorities. So, yeah, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilor Cunningham. Councilor Shevlin?
Thank you, Mayor. You did mention some of the meetings that I attended as a councilor-elect, so I won't repeat those. I really haven't had the opportunity to attend any meetings except this one in an official capacity, so not too much to report. I am attending the Clackamas County Business Alliance meeting this Wednesday, so I'll look forward to providing a report on that at the next meeting. And then I believe most of us on the council and the mayor will be attending the Civics Academy this week as well, and giving our story and giving the opportunity to answer questions. I appreciate all the comments tonight as well. When I was campaigning, I shared how much I enjoy bringing people together to work on sometimes contentious issues, and I've had a lot of success in my career to bring people together and come to common ground and common agreement. So I look forward to the opportunity to do that. I look forward to our retreat and coming up with our common goals that we can work together. That's all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is our consent agenda. Will the city attorney please read the items on consent?
Thank you, Mayor. And I will just note, because we do have minutes, there is no requirement that you have attended a meeting to vote on minutes. So with that, resolution number 3184, a resolution to allocate community cultural events and programs grant funds for fiscal year 2024-2025, and minutes of the December 2, 2024 City Council meeting.
Okay, I recognize Councilor Shevlin.
In regards to resolution number 3184, I'd like to disclose that I am currently the president of the Charbonneau Country Club Board of Directors. I do not, however, have any affiliation with the Charbonneau Arts Association Board of Directors, which is a separate entity, not-for-profit entity. Thank you.
Can I have a motion approving the items on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none. Just a minute here. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The answer is the consent agenda passes 5-0. Now we turn to new business. Under new business, we have resolution number 3167. Will the city attorney please read the title of the resolution?
Resolution number 3167, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing acquisition of property and property interests related to construction of the Beckman Creek Flow Mitigation Project, CIP number 7068.
I would turn to Staff Engineer Andrew Barrett to give a staff report.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, you might check this out. The button's not working, I swear.
Okay, so it is.
This never happened.
I broke it, I swear. No, I'm kidding.
Let me pull it up on my screen.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
We always lose people. Should we take a 5-minute break?
That's a good idea.
How are we doing over there?
Folks, let's call, we'll do a 5-minute break. I need stretcher.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, the city council meeting is now back in session at 8:53. And we're now ready to hear, I believe, the staff engineer report dealing with resolution number 3184.
Yes, Mayor and Council, thank you so much for your time. I apologize for the technical difficulties. My name is Andrew Barrett. I'm the Capital Project Engineering Manager. I'm here to present information regarding the Beckman Creek Flow Mitigation Project. At the end of this meeting, I'd like to request council action for property or property interests relating to this project. Just background, I know there's a lot of folks in the audience here with regards to this project. This project is tied to the Beckman Road Corridor project. The city's installing a bridge over Beckman Creek currently. That bridge, this work was adopted as a part of the Transportation Master Plan, as a part of the Stormwater Master Plan many years ago. There's been multiple touch points with that project and this project with regards to getting council authorization for the design, the construction, and other various points. So for the Beckman Road Corridor project, there are some state and federal requirements that we essentially have triggered, and this project is working to help address those requirements. So I touched on a lot of the background here, but when we install a bridge over a waterway, what ends up happening, there is a fish barrier. We have to remove that. So essentially, the road embankment we've got under the bridge needs to come out. The dam-like structure you can see in the center photo has to be removed. There's also a culvert that you can see on the right-hand side of the slide. That is also considered a barrier to fish passage. So that was installed in the early 80s in development. I'm going to actually go back one slide just to talk kind of high level. On the image we've got here, we've got what we've labeled the Coffee Creek Basin and then the Beckman Creek Basin. A lot of the flows north of Beckman Road on the Mentor Graphics site, which is kind of the large property that is shown underneath the Coffee Creek label, was actually diverted out of its natural ways south and to the west into the Beckman Creek Basin. So through various engineering studies, we worked to determine what would happen when we pulled out the flow control structure that is in the creek. We determined that it would likely cause channel erosion and other damages to the natural environment. So we looked at ways to mitigate that to further prevent damage to the stream and the natural waterways. What we ended up coming up with was actually diverting the flows back the way that they were historically draining. We found that through another set of engineering studies, this was by far and away the most cost-effective, least impactful to the public, and it really was the best solution. The other one was close to 5 times as expensive. It was not a great use of public funds or property. But to to implement this solution, to make it work, we essentially need to acquire some easements, and one of the other options would have essentially done the same thing. And again, to correct the flows that we diverted in the 80s, to put them back to the direction they were going, there's stormwater infrastructure we'd have to modify. And to do that, we'd have to get easements across several properties. You can see here, we've labeled generally the areas that we need to require some easements. And what we would be doing inside of those easements, we'd be doing some, I'll go back one slide, some modifications to, there's a very large grate shown underneath those piers there that we do some modifications to. There would be another similar modification at number 2. There's a large weir that spreads flow out that we just need to extend to be able to push a little more flow through. There's a culvert underneath Beckman Road at 3 that we'd have to replace with a larger culvert. There's some stormwater storage and some culvert modifications that we'd be doing at locations 4 and 5. So we have done a lot of outreach to the public to make sure the impacted owners are aware of what's occurring on these sites. Go to the next slide. This is an overall snapshot that generally shows what the easements would look like in a larger context of the stream. The old Mentor Graphics or Siemens developed site is the one that's shown on the right. Again, those modifications would be very small to that site. And then Mentor Graphics or Siemens owns the property to the south. The impacts are larger there. However, virtually all, not quite all, almost all of the impacts that we'd have on that property would be stormwater storage on top of an existing wetland or on top of what we have as an SROZ that essentially no development can happen in. So we're trying to really leverage using space as wisely as we can that essentially is not developable. So we have one more property to the west on the other side of Parkway. That is almost fully encumbered with an easement already. And again, we're just trying to really leverage space that is already out there that is not going to impact somebody's home or developable property. Some points of interest, areas 1, 2, 3, and 4, sorry, 1, 2, and 3 are already located within existing waterways. And as I mentioned, 4 and 5 are almost fully located within SROZ areas, or wetlands that are not developable. There's going to be no relocations on this. The next kind of steps after, if authorization is granted to move forward with this, we essentially would work through the acquisition process where we would do appraisals, offers, and negotiate with these owners for fair market value and provide them full compensation. So one point to note, we have worked pretty diligently to try to minimize the design, minimize city costs, minimize impacts to the public to really make the best use of funding and space and still achieve the project goals. So with that, we are going to request the council takes action, but I'm going to switch to my last slide just to ask questions and just to point out, the two images we have here. One is the Beckman, the bridge itself. That's one of the days of the deck pour, and then connected to the bridge is the roundabout. Again, these are all components of the Beckman Road Corridor project. Both of these photos are 1 to 2 months old prior to some concrete paving getting done, or in the case of the bridge, the deck was being poured. But with that, I know I went through a lot of stuff. I'm sure there's questions, and I'd love to try to address those.
Council, is there any questions? Councilor Dunwell.
Andrew, thank you for that presentation. First of all, I want to commend you because you use the term trapezoidal wear. That's pretty cool. I don't know if that was to trip us up or what, but it was great. I do have a comment, then I have a question. So my comment is, looking at these aerial photos of the Beckman Bridge, it's sort of one of those things, your eyes fly open because you don't think you need it as a city. And then you look at it, and I know TVF&R, was like, we got to do this. So looking at all of that and seeing all of this finalized, it's really nice to get that reality from those. I assume those are drone photos.
Those are drone photos,
yeah,
correct.
Those are great. But I do have a question. So you're asking for easements. I see some of those are temporary construction and some of them are actual true property easements. You said you've already done performed outreach with some of the businesses, particularly Mentor, but there's an HOA in there.
Yep.
And
So,
can you give us a little bit more background, because there are appraisals that will need to be done. Are they all in agreement, or are you seeing some concerns?
like any acquisition, there are always concerns. The first thing that we did once we identified this project was start talking to these owners about the work to try to make sure we could understand what their concerns were and work to address those during the design phase. So Mentor had some very specific comments with regards to there are a series of ponds that they have, and they want to make sure that there are no changes to the way that those ponds function, and doing the modifications and the designs that we have essentially worked to address those for the different flow considerations that we have made. So there's still some concerns, and I think there will be because there's unknowns still to them. We didn't fully have the design vetted, but we took the feedback that they gave us and worked on refining those designs to address those concerns. There's some HOAs that have concerns with the stormwater storage. And again, before we had the design, really even at 30%, we took and addressed as many of those concerns as we could. And we're still in the process. We've crossed into the 30-ish% design range, which is really kind of the earliest time that we could have a more meaningful conversation with those folks to work on addressing the remaining concerns.
And that's where my concerns go, because item H and item J, Mentor Graphics, you're talking these are not TCEs, these are stormwater easements.
Correct.
43,000 square feet, and then Benchley Estates, their HOA is over 70,000.
Correct. So Benchley is the large blue area
Yep.
up there. So
I understand.
Okay.
And we have already had significant conversations with them, with the HOA itself?
yes, we've had 2 meetings. We are in the process of getting valuations and working to address any other concerns they've got, but we will continue to have discussions with them.
So what's your timeline for moving forward on this to get the appraisals done and everything?
We hope to have the appraisals done in the next 2 months, so.
Thank you, Councilor Dunwell. Councilor Dunwell brought up some points on the HOA. When you're saying you're going to have future communications, what does that look like with the HOA residents? Because engagement, due process is very important to me. And often we say we're going to engage. I just want to know what type of engagement is going to happen.
The first set of engagement that we had, just talked kind of generalities about what we were looking to accomplish on this project. On that particular property, we were looking at some additional stormwater storage during very high peak flows. They had questions specific to, impacts to, their personal property. We've worked to address those. We haven't gone back to communicate that directly to them, and that is the next set of criteria. We take the questions they've got, and we work to answer those in a couple of different, either one or a couple of meetings to make sure that they understand what the changes to that property essentially would be.
Okay, my question, are you communicating with the HOA board? Are you communicating with the individual residents that are impacted?
It would be, so there are no individual residents impacted. It would be the HOA board who we have been in communication with and will continue to be in communication with.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions?
No, those were really thoughtful comments that Councilor Dunwell had. Let's see, about the outreach communications, do you anticipate any pushback right now? Have you heard anything, or do you anticipate that this project's just going to go forward pretty smoothly?
I am guessing there will be some pushback. We obviously want to hear that and work to address any concern that we would have to try to make sure that we can address what those items are to really reduce the uncomfortableness that somebody would have with the changes that we're proposing. So,
thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Cunningham.
So this resolution includes going up to and including eminent domain, and I think that's probably what has us asking some of these very pointed questions about this. And this might be a question for the city attorney, but if we were to approve this resolution today and it were to go to eminent domain, would this be something that would come back before council before that would be done?
That's a great question. So under the resolution, no, we would be able to go ahead and pursue eminent domain without a further council action.
Okay. You also mentioned there was another option. It costs 5 times more. Can you give us a 10,000-foot view of what that looked like?
Yes, there is undeveloped property much further up Beckman Creek, much further up Beckman Creek that would require purchasing a very large tract of land and installing some extremely large stormwater storage or detention basins. And again, that was, all told, that project was close to 5 times as much. There are also some permitting concerns that have not been fully vetted that would slow the project down, drag it out probably 3 more years.
Okay. And then, so this diversion, to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, requirements were triggered because of the Beckman Bridge project and the way that those things changed. Okay.
Councilor Shevlin.
Thank you. In regards to the possibility of eminent domain, I believe you said there weren't any personal private properties affected. Did I understand that correctly? So eminent domain would be common areas that were in perhaps one or more of the HOAs. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions of staff? Okay. Okay, can I invite a motion from council on approving resolution number 3184?
I move to adopt resolution number 3167. Did I get the number wrong?
Oh, sorry, my mistake, 3167, I apologize. Okay, I have a motion from City Council President Barry approving resolution number 3167. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Shevlin. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? The motion is approved, 5-0. Okay. Okay, our last official item on tonight's agenda is a public hearing to consider ordinance number 896 and 897. These items will be discussed and considered concurrently but voted on separately. Will the city attorney please read both ordinances by title only?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 896, an ordinance of the City of Wilsonville annexing approximately 9 acres of property located at 7400 Southwest Frog Pond Lane for development of a 28-lot residential subdivision. And this is the first reading of ordinance number 897, an ordinance of the City of Wilsonville approving a zone map amendment from the Clackamas County Rural Residential Farm Forest 5-acre RRFF-5 zone to the residential neighborhood RN zone on approximately 9 acres located at 7400 Southwest Frog Pond Lane for development of a 28-lot residential subdivision.
Okay, thank you. I call to order the public hearing regarding proposed ordinance number 896 and 897 on first reading on January 6 at 9:12 p.m. Do any members of the City Council wish to abstain, declare a conflict of interest, or report any ex parte contact or any information gained outside the hearing? That's a question. Nope. Okay. Have all members familiarized themselves with the application? Yes. Okay. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the participation of any member of the City Council? I don't see anything there. For all those wishing to testify, please be aware that failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the City Council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes an appeal to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals based on the issue. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards the criteria that staff will describe or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation which you believe apply to the decision. City council meetings are open to the public. This meeting may also be attended remotely in accordance with Oregon law. Information regarding how the public can attend this meeting remotely and give testimony is posted at City Hall and on the city's website. Notice was given that testimony could be submitted for the record in advance in writing by emailing or mailing it to the city recorder. Testimony may be submitted in writing at any time prior to the closure of the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no further testimony in any form will be accepted. If you want to provide public testimony remotely during this meeting, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or press *9 on your telephone to notify the city recorder you wish to speak when the time for public testimony is called. If you're having difficulties with these instructions, you may call 1-669-900-6833, and when prompted, enter webinar ID number 815-3605-6468. Both numbers are shown on the screen. When called upon to testify, state your full name and address for the record. I request from those providing testimony not to repeat the testimony that has already been given to the City Council. Simply indicate you agree with the prior testimony given by a speaker you identify as sufficient. At this time, I call for staff to present the proposal and list the applicable substantive approval criteria. Good evening, Mr. Pauly.
Good evening, Mayor. For the record, Daniel Pauly, the city's planning manager, and I'm here on behalf of Cindy Luxoy, associate planner who was the project manager on this. This is a fairly routine action where developments come forth to develop on land that's planned to be part of the city, but has not yet been annexed. Since this is the first that some of you have seen this type of action, I'll hit some of those details of how that functions in the process as I go through this. So this all goes back to the Frog Pond planning that's been going on for years, starting with the area plan that planned for this type of development in this area, and then more detail went into Frog Pond West Master Plan, and subsequently quite a bit of development has occurred in that area, as I'll show you current slide. And so we really have gone through the master plan and the implementing development code to ensure that the proposed development is consistent with those standards. Part of that was, those actions also was to give a comprehensive plan designation to this land, even though it wasn't yet part of the city. And the proposal is, as it's brought into the city, is to zone it according to that comprehensive plan designation. So to give context of where this is kind of pushed back across, away from the road, so it's probably not a place you've driven by a lot, but it's surrounded on virtually all sides by either prior development or property has been approved for development, annexed and approved for development. So part of the trick here was to get all the roads, as this is kind of the last puzzle piece, make sure all the roads and connections align with where things have been built or planned. Again, here's property. It spans from Frog Pond Lane all the way down to Brisbane Street. So it's kind of kitty corner from the backside of the new primary school. And so how this works is this first goes to the Development Review Board. So if it was already in the city and zoned, this would go to the Development Review Board, and unless it was appealed or called up, they would be the final decision maker. So when there is an annexation or zone map involved, all of those other kind of development approvals, approval of the layout, the number of units, tree removal and landscaping, and the technical division of land and all those things are all contingent upon these actions by the city council this evening, which include the annexation to the land and that zone map amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan. So annexation, at this point, it's historically and including in this situation, we haven't annexed ahead of time. We wait until the developer or the property owner is ready to comes in with all the signed documents and requests for that annexation. That's the case here. Everyone that's required or typically would give consent or request has signed off on this and desiring this annexation. And all the technical requirements for the annexation have been met. Then the zone map amendment, I tend to say here, it's a one menu option. You get, it's like a tasting menu. You get what you get, right? So it's being consistent with the zoning surrounding it, as well as what has been long planned for it to be zoned at the time of development. And so with that, of course, staff as well as Development Review Board's recommendation is to approve both the annexation and the zone map amendment. And with that, happy to take any discussion or answer any questions you may have.
Does council have any questions of staff?
So when the Development Review Board was having their discussions, did any concerns come up that were discussed that we should be aware of?
As I mentioned, this is like the last puzzle piece. So there were some efforts that had to be made to make sure that it aligns, right? And so there are some waivers or exceptions given to like the length of the lot or the size of the lot, essentially, to best accommodate kind of remnant land that kind of was left over. Wasn't really a good option of what to do with it because you had to align the streets with existing streets. Kind of created some awkward block sizes that we had to grant some waivers to accommodate that, essentially.
Councilor Dunwell.
Hey, Dan, just a question. What really stuck out for me in the ordinance was that there were multiple rescheduling or continuances for the DRB Panel A. And some of it was at the request of staff and the applicant, and the public hearings were continued, like for a second time. And was there some hair on this, or what was causing all of the continuances?
Essentially, it was some technical, like engineering related conditions primarily that just needed more time for discussion, really related to improvements, including this triggered some improvements at Brisbane and Stafford Road, and how the funding of that, the technical funding of that would work, and how the burden of that cost and the timing of that construction and the timing of being able to build these homes work. So there was some discussion between legal staff and the city and their representatives to really finalize that. That was a primary driver. I don't know if the city attorney has any other comments on that.
I can just add that I think it was the first meeting in December that the city council took an action on a budget forecast for that particular project. That was, I would say, the primary driver that led to the continuance to December 9th.
Got it. Okay.
For the approval by DRB.
Yeah, so we couldn't rely on essentially it being done within a certain time frame until the budget was authorized by city council.
That makes more sense to me. I was a little bit perplexed to see all of those continuances actually being written into the ordinance itself. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
City
nothing
Attorney.
related to the annexation or zone map amendment, thankfully.
Just wanted to make sure that we were clear on that. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Shevlin.
Thank you. Since I was unfamiliar with this piece of property, I did take the opportunity to drive by it this past weekend. It is a little hard to find. I mean, you have to go all the way down Frog Pond to the end. And just a comment that it seems that it is quite obvious that it was meant to be part of development, since it's almost surrounded completely by current development. and that it appears that now the property owners have signed off on it. So I didn't see any reason that I have any objections to this particular plan. But I think it's worth, if you haven't driven by it, it's worth the fellow councilors to take a look at it. It's an interesting piece of property. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pauly.
Certainly.
Is there any comments from the city attorney?
No comments, thank you.
Okay. Is the applicant is here to make a presentation?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration. My name is Glenn Sutherland. I'm a land use planner with AKS Engineering and Forestry at 12965 Southwest Herman Road, Suite 100. That's in Tualatin. Here on behalf of the applicant, who is also in the room, and several people online as well. I want to thank first and foremost Dan and Cindy for all of their work and help with this application. I have a presentation, but in the interest of not unnecessarily lengthening your already long night, I'll skip that because I think that Dan really summarized the issues well. This is a larger piece of property in the Frog Pond West district and part of a master plan that's been in place for quite a while. And as you mentioned, surrounded by residential development and will be adjacent to a school. So this will be a great part of the community and place for families to live close to that school. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those, but otherwise I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any members of the audience who wish to speak for the application? Nope. One moment, please. Could I have could you come here? Let me. Excuse me, sorry, we've had so many requests for comments. I've gotten one that we already had. Okay. Hearing no further questions and everyone having testified, I hereby declare the public hearing closed at 9:26 p.m., January 6, 2025. Does the city council wish to continue? Okay, I have a question of city attorney. Do I do item 2?
You don't need to do item 2. You can go down to the call for the motion.
Okay. May I have a motion from council on approving resolution 896 and 897?
And I will just note for the council, we need to do separate motions. So the first one will be to adopt ordinance number 896 on first reading, and then we'll handle 897 after that.
Okay, so I ask for a motion for approving ordinance number 896.
I move to adopt ordinance number 896.
On first reading. Okay, thank you, City Council President Barry, on the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Councilor Shevlin has seconded the motion on approving ordinance number 896 on first reading. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving ordinance number 896 on first reading, say aye.
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 Aye. The motion is approved 5-0. Can I have a motion approving resolution number 897 on first reading?
I move to adopt ordinance 897 on first reading.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. Barry, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Shevlin. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving Resolution Ordinance 897 on first reading, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. City manager business.
99% is in the packet in the form of the monthly reports, but I just wanted to officially welcome you, Mayor O'Neill, Councilor Shevlin, Councilor Cunningham. I look forward to working with you. I think you two, maybe all three of you are on my council or on my calendar for Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So I will look forward to that conversation. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney, any legal business?
Thank you, Mayor. One item to report tonight. On Thursday, January 2nd, 2025, the Court of Appeals issued its decision in the appeal filed by Home Depot against the city. The Court of Appeals affirmed the Land Use Board of Appeals decision, meaning that the Land Use Board of Appeals decision affirming the City Council's decision was upheld. I'm happy to answer any questions, though I might be somewhat limited on what I can discuss. Otherwise, that's my report for tonight.
And that was without opinion?
That's correct.
Affirm without opinion?
Affirm without opinion.
Okay.
And do our costs get reimbursed? Or are any costs reimbursed?
The court did check the box for allowing for a cost bill.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. If there's nothing further, I adjourn the City Council meeting for January 6th at 9:30 p.m.
Good job.
Thank you.